Thank you, Jerry. Good morning, everyone. So today I would like to talk about sea level rise and its impact on California housing markets. So let me begin with scientists' prediction on sea level rise due to climate change. United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, so-called IPCC, predicts two major scenarios. Number one, low scenario, assume greenhouse emission will be low and mitigation policy will be implemented. The global mean surface temperature will increase by 1.6 degrees Celsius and cause sea level rise of 0.95 feet by 2100. Number two, high scenario assume there are no effective mitigation policies and the temperature increase by 4.3 degrees. Sea level rise will reach 3.6 feet by the end of the century. On the other hand, NOAA in the United States predicts three scenarios. Low scenario, sea level rise to 1.6 feet by 2100. Intermediate scenario, sea level rise to 1 foot by 2035 and to 4 feet by 2100. Note that California Legislative Analysis Office also adopt this scenario. 3. High scenario, sea level rise to 2 feet by 2045 and to 6.5 feet by 2100. So in our analysis in this presentation and our report, we will use NOAA's intermediate scenario, which is also IPCC's high scenario as our assumption. So in this chart, I show you the impact of sea level rise on the number of homes and people in California. When I say impact, I mean the house will be facing chronic inundation of the seawater. On the left, if sea level rise to 1 foot, 11,000 homes will be damaged in California. To 2 feet, 19,000 homes will be impacted. To 4 feet, 67,000 homes will be impacted, which is about 0.5% of the all California homes. On the right is the impact on the number of people. Sea level rise to 1 foot, 27,000 people will be impacted. 2 feet, 46,000 people. 4 feet, 155,000 Californians will be impacted. So speaking of the natural disaster, let me give you the comparison of the impact of wildfires. In California, as we are very aware of, wildfires had destroyed 30,000 structures in the past 10 years. So we can say that wildfires are more imminent threat to the California housing markets than sea level rise. So in this chart, I show you the impact of sea level rise on the total home value loss in California. The blue bar use the median home value from American Community Survey in 2018, which is outdated because it reflects the median home value in 2016. The brown color bar shows the latest home value by zero. So let's use the zero's value. If sea level rise to 1 foot, the total loss of home value in California will be about $16 billion. If sea level rise to 2 feet, the total loss will be $27 billion. To 4 feet, the total loss will reach $93 billion in today's market value. So it is worth noting that other research suggests that Florida, New York, and New Jersey will have more loss of total home value than California due to sea level rise. In fact, the loss in Florida will be 5 times more than California. Let me give you an example. In the previous slides, I showed you that with sea level rise to 4 feet, 67,000 homes will be damaged in California. In that scenario, just in Miami alone, 120,000 homes will be damaged. So now, let me show you the top 3 zip codes in terms of percentage of homes within that zip code facing sea level rise of 4 feet risk in California. Number 1 zip code is 94065 in Redwood Shores in Bay Area. With sea level rise to 4 feet, 77% of housing units will be damaged. Number 2 zip code is 94404 in Foster City, just in the neighbor. 64% of the homes will be damaged. Number 3 zip code is 92661 in Boba Peninsula at Newport Beach. 46% of homes will be impacted. So these are the picture of these 3 zip codes. We can see these houses are close to water and had great, beautiful views. In this chart, the size of the red circle represents the number of residents who will be impacted by sea level rise to 4 feet. We can see more residents in Bay Area will be impacted than Southern California. For example, top 3 zip codes in terms of people impacted are all in the Bay Area. Foster City, 23,000 people, Palo Alto, 16,000 people, and San Mateo, 11,000 people. We know that coastal California has one of the best real estate in the country in terms of its balmy weather, easy access to beach, and a great ocean view. So its wonderful natural amenities are very different from inland California. So in order to compare apple to apple, we are going to focus on coastal California and divide land into 3 zones based on their different level of risk regarding sea level rise to 4 feet. We look at California zip codes within 5 miles of shoreline as coastal California. So for those zip codes in which there's no house impacted by sea level rise, we call it green zone. As you can see in the map, it is safe. There are 196 zip codes. For those zip codes in which there are between 0 to 4% of homes which will be damaged by sea level rise, we call it yellow zone. It will face medium risk. There are about 81 zip codes. For those zip codes in which above 4% of homes damaged by sea level rise, we call it red zone. It has a higher risk. So there are about 30 zip codes in California. And in the map, we can see again, Bay Area faces more sea level rise risk than Southern California. So put aside other factors, here we assume these 3 zip codes, 3 zones have similar natural amenities on average. So here I show you the percentage change of the average home value from 1996 to 2020 by these 3 zones. And the black line is the California average. So there are 3 findings. Number 1, coastal California has a higher growth of the home price than California average over these 2 decades. Number 2, green-yellow zones had a similar trend, even though we know yellow zone is supposed to have a higher risk of sea level rise, and therefore it's supposed to have a low home price growth, but we don't see that. Number 3, red zone has a higher growth rate of the home price, even though it has the highest risk of the sea level rise. Why? We think there might be 2 reasons. Number 1, red zone has a superior amenities than green and yellow zones. Number 2, many red zone zip codes are very near Silicon Valley, which has been enjoying the phenomenal tech boom over the past decades. So in this chart, I show you the correlation among these coastal 300 zip codes. The horizontal axis is the percentage of homes in that zip code exposed to the sea level rise of 4 feet. The vertical axis is the home value growth from 2011 to October 2020. So if home buyers and investors are rational and forward-looking, zip codes with more exposure of sea level rise risk should have a low home price appreciation. That is, we should expect to see a negative correlation on this chart. but we do not see a clear correlation. So in this chart on the left, I show you the median home value in October 2020 by 3 zones and California average. Red zone with more sea level rise risk is supposed to have a so-called price discount compared to yellow and green zone, but the opposite is true. Red zone actually has a highest home value. So keep in mind that red zone here is based on sea level rise to 4 feet. And scientists predict that it will most likely happen in 2100, which is 80 years from now. So I'm thinking one possible reason that we don't see a lower price in red zone today is that the loss occurred in a very distant future means very little now. For example, I did a calculation, consider about a discount rate of 4%, $1 million loss in 2100 is equal to only $43,000 today. And another thing I want to talk about is that the National Flood Insurance Program only cover up to $250,000 for a house. So we know that the flood insurance is irrelevant in California because the home values are well above the maximum insurance coverage. On the right, I show you the home supply growth rate since 2000. Red zone has a lower housing supply than yellow zone, green zone, and yellow-green zone had a lower housing supply than California average. This could be what we expect, a rational and risk-averse behavior from home buyers, developer, and local government who maybe consider about sea level rise risk. But 10% growth in red zone is still very high to me. So in this chart, I show you the percentage of residents who move into their current California homes by 3 periods. The dark blue is before 2000, the middle blue is between 2000 and 2010, and the light blue is after 2010. So we can see across these 3 zones and California average, there's no difference of the pattern of the demand over time. And it is interesting to see that, in fact, around 50% of residents move into their current homes after 2010. That is to say, the median duration of the home mortgage could be about 10 years. And it implies that many homeowners now living in red zone might move on and move out by 2035. So they don't need to worry about sea level rise risk at all. Okay, so who live in coastal California? In the chart on the left, we find that red zone has the household with the highest income, followed by yellow and green zone and California average. On the right, red zone has more than 50% of residents with college degree or higher. So we think there are 3 takeaways here. Number 1, only high income household can afford high price in red zone. Number 2, the Economist literature seems to be consistent to what we find here. There's a positive correlation between risk-taking behavior and income growth of an individual. Number 3, perhaps high skill and high income households are more capable and more confident that they will be able to handle the financial risk and damage in the future. Okay, conclusions. So in the intermediate scenario, scientists predict that sea level rise to 1 foot by 2035, to 2 feet by 2060, to 4 feet by 2100. Based on this projection, number of homes impact in California will be 11,000, 19,000, and 67,000 respectively. Number of people impacted will be 27,000, 46,000, and 156,000 respectively. The property value loss would be $16 billion, $27 billion, and $97 billion respectively. And that loss is about 0.9% of the whole California housing value. So we look at the coastal California housing market by 3 zones. Green zones is low risk to sea level rise, yellow zone medium risk, and red zone high risk. So far, there's no evidence that California home buyer have factored sea level rise risk into their investment decision. Red zone houses are still in high demand by high income and high education households. So this is my presentation. Thank you very much.